So I want to start off with this Mike Johnson. I know everyone is saying, Mike Johnson, my insurance agent? No, the other Mike Johnson. He's the Speaker of the House now. So I've been using this very slow-moving coup about Trump since before he got elected the first time. And a lot of people were laughing. I see a lot of people use it now. And every time we don't completely lose our way of government, somebody says, oh, well, where's your slow-moving coup now? It's slow. That's my answer. It's slow. But this, what happened this week, I remember I did a very dark editorial like 2022, like the last one of the year after that election, saying, because we all thought the Republicans were going to win, and I said, what's going to happen is that the people who were not in place in 2020, that Trump tried to get his bidding to overturn elections, the John Ratzenbergers of the world, who said, no, I can't find you votes. They're all going to get replaced. And it didn't happen then. But that's kind of happening now with Mike Johnson, the ultimate election denier, and now all the Republicans. It took them 22 days to get this guy, but now they finally got the guy who's Trump's guy. You know, it takes time to get your people to infiltrate them into these positions. But I'm sorry, I think that thesis still holds, and I think, is this the moment, let me ask you the question, the Republican Party is just the MAGA party now, right?
In this video, Jessica Tarlov and Scott Galloway joined Bill Maher to delve into the perceived threat to democracy posed by the GOP's increasing alignment with Christian nationalism. America's greatest threat doesn't come from foreign adversaries or terrorist groups, but from the rise of political extremism within our own borders. This extremism is driven by leaders who prioritize rewriting history over upholding democratic principles. With a Speaker of the House who denies fundamental scientific truths and actively seeks to intertwine church and state, we're witnessing a slow but deliberate erosion of the freedoms we claim to cherish. This isn't merely politics as usual. It's creeping authoritarianism disguised in patriotic symbolism and cloaked in religious zeal, threatening to unravel the very fabric of American democracy from within. Jessica Tarlov's articulate and insightful commentary truly shines in this discussion. Her analysis is a reminder of the importance of honesty and the defense of democratic values. Keep watching the video for her take. Voices like hers are essential in safeguarding democracy.
I think so. I felt that way for a while, and there were a few kind of glimmers, and I think Kevin McCarthy was like this fancy, shiny object that a lot of people thought.
I've never heard him described that way, but...
Well, he's handsome, he's charming, he's the #1 Republican fundraiser out there, right? Even in the last quarter, he raised $14 million. He's the Nancy Pelosi of the other side in terms of raising money.
Wow. I don't, this is a side of him I never thought of.
Well, that's what I'm here to deliver.
I see.
No, I just, having spent a lot of time in the conservative ecosystem, these are things that I pay attention to.
Right.
Why is this one more useful than this one, for instance? And Kevin McCarthy comes off as someone normal. He is not normal, right? He's someone who had a day where he said, you know, Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th, and the next day he was at Mar-a-Lago throwing back martinis and hanging out with the crew.
The concept of a slow-moving coup, especially in the context of Trump's lasting influence over government institutions, has shifted from skepticism to a widely recognized concern. This term captures a gradual but deliberate effort, as Trump-aligned officials steadily assume key positions across various levels of government. Bill Maher and his guests argue that Trump's approach isn't marked by dramatic power grabs. Instead, it's a calculated reconfiguration of government structures and norms. By appointing loyalists and advancing legislation that undermines democratic checks and balances, the foundation of democracy itself could be at risk. This incremental strategy is designed to entrench power without triggering the alarms associated with overt authoritarianism. The concern is that by normalizing anti-democratic behaviors and embedding loyalists in critical roles, the GOP could reshape democracy into a facade, retaining its outward appearance while hollowing out its core principles. To Bill Maher's pointed question on this issue, Jessica Tarlov's response provided an insightful perspective. Stay tuned to hear her sharp analysis.
You know, sits like this, whatever, and then we get this guy who's a lawyer, who has a long career of going after these kind of social issues. You already mentioned it in the monologue about the sodomy laws, criminalizing homosexuality. He was in the election integrity front, he wasn't just someone who signed on. He was an architect of the plan to get our votes thrown out in Pennsylvania and Georgia and Michigan. Yeah. He is so much more frightening in that sense. But I do think, and obviously want to hear what you guys think about this as well, I think it is a good thing for Democrats that he was made speaker, because everything is laid bare now. If you listen to his interviews, you know exactly who this party is, and Democrats can run against that. It's harder to run against Kevin McCarthy, who might feel more normal to you.
But we keep...
The new speaker's hardline views reveal the ideological core of the MAGA-dominated GOP, offering Democrats a clearer and perhaps more formidable target for their campaigns. By openly championing far-right positions on LGBTQ rights, religious governance, and election integrity, Speaker Johnson has become a symbol of the party's priorities under Trump's influence. This transparency is a double-edged sword. While it energizes Trump's loyal base, it risks alienating moderate conservatives and independents, giving Democrats a powerful narrative to counter. For Democrats, Johnson's rise presents a strategic opportunity. His alignment with Christian nationalism and election denialism serves as a stark contrast to their vision of a secular, inclusive democracy. This deepening ideological divide raises the stakes for the upcoming elections, positioning Johnson's MAGA-driven leadership as a representation of a GOP that has shifted away from traditional conservatism, embracing populist, religiously charged authoritarianism.
We keep hoping, oh, this time it'll show them for who they are. This is just enormously disappointing. We are normalizing climate change. We are normalizing anti-Semitism, and we are normalizing a kicking out of the legs of the stool of democracy. Central to our democracy, regardless of what you think about our country, it's the best of its kind so far, hands down. Democracy, the pillars of that are, one, the peaceful transfer of power. And this guy was an architect of trying to arrest that, and a society that is secular. And when a guy gets this nod and says that God ordained it, I'm like, well, boss, whose God is that? Because this is, the whole point here is that we separate church and state, that we believe in the peaceful transfer of power. And the reason this guy is speaker is none of us had the time to read his resume and realize he's David Duke light.
Well, we did now. Well, I don't know if he's David Duke light. I read today he has an adopted black son.
Yeah.
I don't think David Duke would do that, but he is a religious nut. He was the lawyer for Alliance Defending Freedom. This is from their literature. They seek to recover the robust Christian-domic, I don't know that word, you're a professor, maybe you do, Christian-domic theology of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th centuries. You know, maybe the 5th.
Something a little more recent.
But the 3rd and 4th? I mean, he uses the phrase, the so-called separation of church and state. This is the alliance of, I hate to, fascism, the word is thrown around, but it's always the far-right church folks meet with the corporate power folks. That's Mussolini, that's all these fascist states. And this is now that, and of course Trump doesn't give a shit either way about religion. He'll say whoever likes him, he will, sure, I'm down with, so he's of course gonna just cave on all this religious nonsense. From the 5th century we're going back to now.
Kevin McCarthy's contradictory behavior highlights the delicate balancing act within the conservative ecosystem, exposing a struggle between maintaining the appearance of traditional Republican normalcy and accommodating Trump's more extreme faction. This duality, critics argue, enables McCarthy to appeal to mainstream conservatives while subtly endorsing anti-democratic rhetoric aligned with Trump's influence. McCarthy's approach reflects a deeper challenge within the GOP, where leaders are often torn between preserving party unity and appeasing Trump's loyal base. This precarious balancing act threatens to erode fundamental democratic principles, as figures like McCarthy lend credibility to extreme factions while projecting an outward image of stability. This ambivalence underscores the GOP's identity crisis in the post-Trump era, as it struggles to reconcile loyalty to democratic norms with the demands of an increasingly polarized party. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for being part of our community.